Yes. Welcome back, family, to the channel which is known as Marriage-or-Hellnah. But in this video, I'm going to do a little rapping with you guys. My own original content. As an avatar, I think it's important to tell you guys stories, to give you real live examples of things that have changed my life for the better. And in this video, I want to be able to talk to the youth a little bit. My OGs, maybe you guys can learn something too, but I'm pretty sure you guys already have these principles. But for the young men, this is why this 4.0 content is really important. See, we talk a lot about the modern woman and her foolishness, but it's also important that we distinguish who we are, which is men, making our own decisions, straight and free thinking, when we know everybody has their eyes on us, try to tell us what to do. But the foolishness won't work. But as I go through this story, I want to let you guys know what it's actually about. The Passport Bros and why they're doing good work overall, and how I think they can be a success story that some younger men need to follow. So as I go through this, be patient with me, and we're going to get through this thing, but I promise you, you guys are going to learn a lot. So, as you guys know, since the passport movement has gone viral over the last few months, there's been a lot of chatter, a lot of people hating, whether it be on the side of women, the modern westernized woman that is, or be on the side of men. I personally don't understand that. But to each his own. But I'm going to tell you what my passport did for me. Now, I always had opportunities to travel when I was younger. Growing up in New York City, I was a foolish kid. A foolish man at that. What do I mean? I didn't really have my first experience of traveling over a big body of water until I was 31 years old. My father gave me opportunities to travel. Hardworking man, blue collar guy, working for New York City. And when he got some time off from work, he would travel with a woman that he was dating at the time. He would say, "Son, I'm going over to Joburg, or I'm going over to Jamaica, I'm going over to Egypt." And he was like, "Hey, do you want to go?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm good." And the reason why I would say I was good when I was younger was because I was thinking about hanging out with the homies. I was like, Pops is leaving? Be all alone in this New York City, Manhattan apartment to myself? I'm chilling with the homies. We're going to get us some pizza, play some video games, listen to music. Just do the things that we would normally do growing up on the Lower East Side. Any excuse just to have fun. We enjoyed it. But as I grew into becoming an older man, I realized I should have took advantage of those experiences. Now let me back up and also tell you why I didn't travel. In New York City, a lot of times you get this concept in your mind that you don't have to travel because everybody's coming to you. And I was one of these foolish thinkers. I said to myself, why do I need to go to Dominican Republic? I can always go to Dykeman, I can always go to other parts of the city. Why do I need to go to Spain? I meet Spanish women just being at Union Square, walking around the village. Australian women, Irish women, had a bunch of Italian friends, Polish friends growing up and everything. But I also got a chance to see how other people live. And this is an important story for all matter of men. I wasn't really expanding upon my opportunities to learn about other cultures in their own native environment. I always thought because I had Italian friends or Russian friends that I got a sense of what their culture was like without being in their area. And as I had the opportunity to travel at the age of 31, which was my first time really boarding a plane and taking that long flight. Now, I had been to some places, but I don't really consider those as travel experiences. Now, my mom used to take me to places like, Toronto. Shout out to anybody who's in TO. I had great times there. We used to go there for Carnival and just have a really good time escaping the New York City life. My brother, who lived in Detroit, shout out to anybody who's living in Detroit or somebody who's hearing this in Detroit. My brother would take me over to Windsor. We went up to Montreal, but that was really the extent of my travel experiences. But at the age of 31, I happened to be working at a telecom company here in Atlanta, Georgia. Maybe I told this story, maybe I did it, but I hope it finds you and you can learn a little bit from it. So me and my homeboy, we decided, hey, you know what? Neither one of us had been to anywhere really on the other side of the world. So we decided to cop them tickets, and we ended up in this country, which is known as Ireland. Now, I'm telling you, as a black man, I had a damn good time. And the area that we stayed in was an area called Temple Bar. That's the image that you see there on the screen. This area is more of like a city center area, right? Similar to, I guess, lower Manhattan or midtown Manhattan, or, the epicenter of really any town. And when I was there, man, I had such a great time. People were speaking to me, and I was just really enjoying myself. The trip was only supposed to be 10 days. I ended up staying for 6 damn months. And I had some great experiences with the Irish ladies. I mean, beautiful, stunning, and inspirational. What do I mean by that? When I was there, staying in the Temple Bar area, they would teach me about other areas of Ireland. For instance, I would go to St. Stephen's Green, which is actually still in Dublin, and other parts of Dublin, and kind of learn the area and kind of see how people are living on a day-to-day basis. But it was those women who kind of showed me how people live over there. I ended up meeting a nice, beautiful lady somewhere in, I think it's called Lower Merion. I could be getting that wrong. And she ended up setting up a date to where we took the train up to a city called Howth. Howth is slightly to the north a little bit. And I'll never forget, she took me to a restaurant that was right there by the water. And the place was called Brazen Monkey, I believe it was called. And we enjoyed ourselves and had some of the best mussels I've ever had in my life. But the inspiration was there by her. And shout out to those beautiful Irish women who go out there, bust their butt, take care of their families, and still being the feminine women that we all love. I hope you get a chance to meet one day. But it was so much of a great experience for me. She also took me to other places. She would take me to places like Kilkenny, Limerick, Galway, maybe one or two more other towns that I'm forgetting, but I've never been to Belfast, which is in the northern part of the country. Had plenty of opportunities, but just never did. And the reason why I'm telling you that is I would have never had any of these experiences if I didn't trust my own ability to want to explore. And as a man, you need to be able to see the world. My father, as a kid, he would come home after working his 10, 12-hour shift, and I'd be sitting up in there watching TV or something, and he would kick me the hell out the house. He was like, man, you need to go outside. Boys need to be out there hanging out with their friends, playing sports, doing everything, just kind of living life. And that's important because over the last few years here with the pandemic, I think a lot of men have been suffering as far as having real life experiences, being grounded, being in the house, told that you can't do this and you can't do that. But most men probably just sat around and just consumed a bunch of bad social media that infected the brain. And as we come out of this, the passport bros, they started pushing their movement. Now, men have been traveling for a very long time, and I presented that in other videos. But their movement was so timely for a person like me because I had forgot what it's like to experience life in other cultures and find motivation. And also, when I first decided to cop those tickets with my friend, who was right there telling me not to go? My mom. Now, my mom loves me and I love my mother, but my mother could be very difficult, meaning like, why do you want to do that? You shouldn't go there. It's not safe. Putting all these negative thoughts in my mind. But as a man, I've always been very curious. I believe in seeing things, touching things, experiencing things. But being that I was in New York City, I thought I had it all there, right at my own grasp. But it wasn't a natural experience. And when I was boarding that flight, she would call me and say, "Are you good? Make sure you call me when you get there. If anything happens, let me know," blah, blah, blah. Just all of this worry, But she just wanted to make sure her son was safe. But my pops, on the other hand, was like, "Oh, son, I'm glad you got your tickets. You need to go. You need to experience things. Remember, I told you as a kid, men have to be outside. You got to play around, get that energy out of your system." And when I decided to do that, it really changed my life for the better. Now, for you, it might be a little different, but I'll tell you where the motivation usually starts. Sometimes when you're dealing with beautiful women, they can inspire you to do different things. I'll give you a personal example. When I was in school as a young man, I was always like a B student, maybe B plus student, but had A potential. But sometimes I would get bored in class. I would never act out to be the class clown, but I was just finding myself just not really engaged as to where I need to be. And sometimes I would meet cool women who, were just friends in school. I can't say whether they liked me or they didn't like me, but I was just glad that they were there for me. And these were the same girls that would help me with my homework. One of my friends, she would go, "Why haven't you done your homework yet? You know you're supposed to be doing your homework. The assignment is due tomorrow." And then she would do the homework for me. Now, I never took these experiences for granted because there's always been women that really help men discover things and find things and make their way in life. And I have been blessed to know a lot of those women. But it seems like in today's time, we're not really seeing those beautiful women that really push us and inspire us. And I think it's really a shame. And it shows how Western society has tried to indoctrinate not only men, but women and setting us up for failure in my eyes, right? Because women have always been the ones to really help us. And I think a lot of men are finding out in today's time that a lot of women are less inclined to help, which in turn means that men are less inclined to help them. Now, you could call it feminist rhetoric, you can call it, trying to make men weak, but I'm not buying any of that. And the reason why that is for me is that I've always been a free thinker. I've always been in control of my own destiny. My father raised me to have a mind that was able to explore, able to grasp things, challenge, and find new concepts to define what my own reality was. He would always support me with positivity. My moms would do the same thing, but she was a little bit more controlling. And really, what I'm doing is I'm calling to action a lot of things that can actually help you guys out. I think a lot of men find themselves, especially in the US right now, in just a state of mental anguish. And the reason is because some of these guys are not getting the experiences to fuel them going forward. Travel is one of those experiences. And that's why I say shout out to the Passport Bros. I know some people have things to say about them and say that they're going over to these countries doing foolishness. Now, I'm not about that. I've covered this in previous videos. But it's also very powerful when you can touch down in a new place and find inspiration there. When I was in Ireland, I saw a lot of different things that I never experienced before. And that fueled me to understand more, to be curious about how can I improve. I later took those experiences to one of my favorite countries, the beautiful country of Colombia. And I know we talk about it a lot, but I try to not be in the areas that everybody else is in. Reason being is that I got some great examples. I mean, I've touched down in the country once. I plan to touch down in the country. Maybe the Bogota region here in about the next month is where I think I'm gonna go. But I meet a lot of great Colombian women in Atlanta. Now, I'm not talking about Colombian women who have lived in Atlanta for 10 years. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these are newcomers. These are women who are coming over here north of 285 if you're in the city of Atlanta. And if you know the right people, if you have the right connections, these women will introduce you to some of their friends. But it all started out with me accepting their culture and chilling around their men. In any of my passport videos, you have never seen me disrespect any other group of men saying I'm go over there and, mess with their women or get to know their women. I don't believe in that. I believe in understanding the culture in its entirety. And that means learning from the men, hanging out with the men, things like that. And as I'm hanging out with these guys are teaching me a lot about their culture, how they live, their family structure, but also we're throwing back some cervezas, we're drinking, we're having a good time, and they just put me on to different things, and I'm so appreciative of that. Now, one thing in my travels that I have learned that has fueled me throughout my years has been this sport right here. And I'm gonna give you an example. Over here in the US, I didn't know nothing about this sport growing up. We tend to pay attention a lot to football and basketball, the more popular sports over here. But this sport right here changed my life. It changed the experiences that I have with women. I'll give you an example. When I was in New York City, I met a beautiful woman from Argentina. And I was talking to her about little things that I knew about Argentina. Of course, I knew the capital, Buenos Aires, but I also knew a lot about River Plate versus Boca Juniors. And this is like a big time rivalry, right? So at the time I was living in Lower Manhattan and she was living out in Woodside, Queens. And she took me to this place that was over there in Corona. And everybody in there was going crazy for the sport. And I just said, oh my God, I just like the energy. It's fantastic. And as I'm learning about different cultures, this game that you're seeing right there, or the image that you're seeing there on the screen, I got to learning about what they call football, not only in Colombia, Argentina, throughout South America, but also the EPL or the Big Five leagues that are overseas. As a Black man, it's very empowering because we tend to think, oh, only this group plays soccer, but it's like, yo, this is a world game and everybody plays it. But as I just kept learning, I learned a lot about French soccer versus Spanish soccer, the different teams that are involved. And I would meet different women from these countries, right? So I was able to talk about different cities in these countries. Now I have visited places like Frankfurt, Germany, which is more like a banking capital to me when I stayed there. It was great times there. And I was able to talk about, oh, Bayern this, and I may talk about Stuttgart that, or I may talk about Dortmund this, because I found out a little bit about the game. And once you find out about the game, you start seeing how energized the people are in the stadium. You start learning about where these people come from, when they start playing, when they start experiencing life. And I'm really urging you guys, if you haven't followed this sport, it has helped me so much. And using examples here in Atlanta, you might find me at Fado, you might find me at Brew House, but I'm in there with all of these different people and so many great minds from so many different places and being able to learn. And that stuff fuels me like you wouldn't believe. So I hope that this video inspires you in some kind of way to say, you know what? Let me get my passport. It's not about going over there meeting women, even though I've told you women can inspire you to do things. They can inspire you to travel. I mean, when I was in Colombia for the first time, this woman showed me around the whole city, gave me like a local experience where I could have been there by myself, just kind of on some deer in headlights type tourist look on my face, you know? But when I came back to the States, I put my head down and I started working because I wanted to have more money to be able to experience life like that. And I hope you guys take that away from this story, is to say, look, getting your passport is a good way to fuel you. It's not just about meeting women, but it's about what quality of life can bring you. And I think that a lot of the young brothers, no matter which community or what hue you come from, these experiences are really meant to inspire you in such a way to where you can go out there and start fueling your own fire. Now, I happen to be checking out blackdemographics.com, and, just like the other brothers have been talking about, when we look at Generation Z, the numbers don't really reflect their potential just yet. But I noticed that a lot of the modern women that have something to say about what the passport bros are doing, a lot of these women have boys. And a lot of their boys, according to Black demographics, they're just not in the best positions yet. Now, I can't go as far as to say whether these modern women are keeping these boys down by neglecting their natural experience and desire to do things and experience things and build things. But I'm telling you, if you're over the age of 21, maybe even 18, it's a good idea for you to get in the habit of seeing things and experiencing things and getting your mind out of a continuous state of normalcy. Kevin Samuels talked about that. Shout out to Kevin. And one of my favorite videos from Kevin is a video talking about your problems aren't big enough. And that video fueled me like none other. And I was very thankful to the Manosphere. I didn't find the Manosphere until probably about age 38, which is about 3 years ago now, maybe even 2 years ago. But when I watched Kevin's video, it helped me understand that the little 90,000 that I was making at the age of 38 wasn't nothing. Now, I know that's better than some men, and I know that's worse than some men. But I had so much more potential to strive for something more. I just needed to have the knowledge or the application to actually put in the sweat equity. And as people talk about the Manosphere, they always want to say bad things. But I'm going to tell you what the Manosphere did for me. The Manosphere took that concept that I had at 38 years old, making 90,000, being complacent, and says, hey, you need to be a little bit more productive. You got more hours in your day. Are you working at least 60 hours that you actually getting paid for? So last year, when I first started this channel, I'm always working. I'm still working now. I started off at the job making 90,000, took that up to 106 within less than a year on the job. And now I'm not including anything I do with YouTube. If you ever look at my channel, I don't have on super thanks. I don't have on super chats. I don't have on any of that. Now you can feel free to support, but I never ask it from you guys. But when I watch brothers like CGA tell me I need to get my grind up, I need to work, I need to have a plan, I took that 106 that I was making, and now I'm up to about 132. I'm still a scrub, and I still got a long way to go. But the Manosphere fueled me. And one addition to the Manosphere that I think is a timely addition, right? Whether people want to say good things or bad things, is this. And the reason why that is because these brothers need to find inspiration. And it doesn't seem like they're finding inspiration here. Sitting around in the house all day playing video games or looking at social media is not going to get you really anywhere, because it's limited in your experiences of what you could be. And that's not what I want for you. And I don't want anybody to tell you what you're limited to, telling you that you're only going to reach this certain plateau, bringing negativity into your life, because you're better than that. You've always been better than that. You just got to find your way. So that's what this message is about. Helping you find your way and what actually helped me out. And I hope it inspires you to get up on who you are, the explorer nature that's in your body, that's in your mind. And I hope it fuels you to do more, because you are fully capable of doing it as long as you don't pay attention to the haters. Until next time, I'm out, fellas. Peace.